Sounds good.
And you know how to control everything on here, right? This is ISO. That's it. Pretty much everything changed.
Okay.
Change the shutter speed and
F star.
but I don't know if
That was my bad for not bringing any.
I can be, I don't need,
Okay, I think yeah. I can clean them after.
if you want to, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll clean them. So thank you.
For the camera, it's right underneath the HDMI. This will go black as a couple. And then the one for the computer is the one we have here.
Nice. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you.
And you can probably figure out.
Yeah.
It has like a steady key, a little lever thing you can press. What kind of camera do you have? Oh, are you lying?
I was nice to everyone. Oh yeah, big time. You're here. It's a big deal. The fact that you're here is big.
Yeah, with the big picture.
Yeah. I'll come over. For your dad. try to get everyone. That's my goal. Not here to try to get you guys to be your videos, nor are we here to try to persuade you in one way or the other. This is a safe place where no one will fight you, no one will blame you. My sugar loves me. Try to put some church on. Try to help Joel. Put some church on some church.
No, they told me that was it. Just eat a sandwich, be a member of the audience. Oh, good. I got my coach right here.
a small section on how to monitor the health of the screen. So there's a large on you, right? If this used anywhere else, we should probably test it or something like reset. If this ever drops, and it's like yellow and red, or just like disconnect from the internet, disconnect from the it'll let you know at any point you guys go. It's just completely random. So you're aiming for kilograms per second. You're aiming for around 20 or around
sounds fun. And that's a lot of fun.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Janet y el día de hoy estoy ofreciendo interpretación disponible en español por quienes gusten. Voy a estar ubicada en la mesa. Lo único que solicito es algún módulo de identificación. El único motivo es por el caso de que se les llegue a olvidar entregarlo. Yo voy a anunciar su nombre en el micrófono, pero siéntanse bienvenidos. Quien ocupe interpretación en español, voy a estar ubicada en aquella mesa de allá. Gracias.
Good afternoon, everyone. All the people of Cicero, everyone for accompanying us here tonight, or this evening, and this afternoon, for this town hall meeting that, well, just to give an introduction, that the Light of the World Church here, where we are at, is hosting in this moment. And we would like to extend our gratitude to every single one of you for accompanying us here in this moment. As we know, we are a church, a religious party. And more than anything, we don't have any political stance, being apolitical, but based on our religious and our faith values, we are shown and taught that our civic duties, our civic values are also part of who we are, taking care of our community, making our voices heard, knowing and understanding our rights and our values and where we live, making sure that where our families grow, where our children go to school, where we get together as a community, be a safe and better place. And that's why we once again extend our gratitude, our joy for you guys accompanying us here in this afternoon, to extend our questions, to hear the different parties on the ballot, and to also understand our rights in the registration to vote, our duties, and the importance of voting for our community. Because once again, at the end of the day, Cicero is our home. Cicero is the place where our families will grow and to years to come. So once again, the Light of the World Church extends our gratitude, extends our joy for accompanying us in this evening. And I will also like to introduce the moderator for this town hall meeting. She is an Illinois State University graduate with a bachelor's in political science and political communications, with a background in public policy and community organization. She is Rose Salmons, and she will be the moderator. She can take her place, and we will continue with this beautiful afternoon and with our questions and our concerns. And once again, thank you all for having us or being with us, and may everyone have a good afternoon.
As you know, I'm Rose Salmons. I'm going to be honored to serve as your moderator this evening for tonight's town hall meeting. I am passionate with engaging with our community and facilitating discussions on these key issues. exciting agenda ahead of us, featuring our candidates for Cicero trustee and our esteemed guest speaker, Congressman Jonathan L. Jackson. I look forward to guiding our conversation and ensuring that our voices are heard. So we're going to do a brief introduction of President Larry Dominic and Challenger Esteban Rodriguez. So we will have a 2-minute response. We will have structured questions in regards to public safety and policing, economic development in local businesses, infrastructure and public services, education and youth programs, affordable housing and property taxes, transparency and government accountability, as well as each candidate will have equal time to respond. And then we will open it up to audience asking their questions. Each candidate, in regards to closing remarks, will have 5 minutes to have their final statements. So let us introduce Esteban Rodriguez. Esteban Rodriguez has proudly called Cicero home for over 32 years. Born and raised in the Grant Works neighborhood, 15th and 49th, and now residing in Drexel's neighborhood, 38th. He has lived in 5 of Cicero's 8 neighborhoods, cultivating a deep understanding and love for his community. Esteban is dedicated, not-for-profit professional, whose work spans multiple fields over 19 years, including health, violence prevention, criminal justice reform, housing, other adults, community organizing, education, and digital literacy. However, his greatest passion lies in youth development, where his unique perspective as a young Cicero leader informs his approach. Currently, he serves as the executive director of Corazon Community Services, a Cicero-based nonprofit committed to empowering and uplifting youth. From his beginnings as a youth participant to becoming the executive director of Corazon Community Services, Esteban has dedicated his life to addressing community issues with a vision grounded in experience and passion. His journey has provided him with first-hand insights into the community's challenges and most effective strategies for change. Esteban ties to Cicero are strong, having attended local public schools from kindergarten in Morton College before transferring to the University of Illinois, UIC, where he earned a bachelor's in psychology. Driven by a desire to make a greater impact, he pursued a master's in public administration at Baruch College in New York City, through the prestigious National Urban Fellowship, where he received a Fulbright scholarship. Above all, Esteban is a devoted family man. He is committed to working tirelessly to ensure a brighter future for his growing family. His love for Cicero drives his dedication to creating a community where every child has the opportunity to thrive. Please give a hand for Esteban. As of right now, I just got word Larry Dominic is not present. So I would love to introduce, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce a distinguished leader, businessman, and activist who has dedicated his career to service and advocacy. Representing Illinois' 1st Congressional District since 2023, he continues a legacy of fighting for justice and economic empowerment. The son of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., he has made his own mark as a financial analyst, national spokesman for the Rainbow Push Coalition, and a partner in Chicago's River North Sales and Service. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Jonathan L. Jackson.
Good afternoon. I wish I could greet you in Spanish. Please forgive me. I'm honored to be here, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today. This is a very important time in our history. This is also an African American History Month. And if I can share something with you about African American History Month, I want to share with you the parallel plights that we have traversed together. The spirit of African American History Month is that there was a young man named Dr. Carter G. Woodson who grew up in West Virginia working in the coal mines. He was denied an education. He then went on to Kentucky, where he looked at the history books in Berea, Kentucky, and saw that there was no mention of African Americans' contribution to American history. This school, Berea College, founded in 1855 by a Caucasian, a white minister, and a white abolitionist general that donated the land. The general that donated the name is called Cassius Marcellus Clay. As you know, Muhammad Ali's name at birth is Cassius Clay. This was the family of the Clays. This was an abolitionist family. There were two sides to it. One was Speaker of the House, Henry Clay, not the good side, and the good side was Cassius Marcellus Clay. When he saw that there was no mention of African Americans in the history book, he said to himself, how can people be respected if they've not been seen to make any contribution to a civilization and their history is unrecorded? Then he came on to Chicago and started his thesis at the University of Chicago. And his thesis was to make American history whole by putting the truth back into the books. Because without our history, it's propaganda. So when I go into the Congress, and I have the opportunity to represent the 1st Congressional District, African Americans built the Capitol. It was free labor that had been enslaved in America. Then he went on to Harvard, where he was the second African American to gain his PhD from Harvard. I share that with you on this month because there's a fight right now against diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have to understand our history. When they start eliminating the facts of African American history, then when they tell you we cannot discuss Hispanic Heritage Month, then when they say we cannot discuss Asians, that makes the nation weaker, not stronger. When we hear the term e pluribus unum, that term means out of many we are one. It's a composite nation. People have come from many places. That's for diversity. When you hear about the 14th Amendment, that's about equality. We need to have equal representation, access to the courts. We need to have a fair shot, a fair chance. That's in the 14th Amendment, equality. When you hear about inclusion, you talk about giving your poor your holy masses that yearn to breathe freedom. That's inclusiveness. When you talk about creating handicap ramps for people that have different abilities so that they can move around. When you talk about being sensitive to people that have language barriers, that's inclusiveness, to making sure that you bring down all of the barriers that keep us apart because we're all of God's children. I want to also thank the pastor of this church, the Light of the World. I can't thank you enough for you opening the doors of the church. This reminds me of Reverend Martin Luther King starting the Montgomery Improvement Association in the basement of the church. It's just not enough to glorify God. We have to edify man, build up the people, the body of Jesus. And so for those that have the courage that have come out, that have to take this message back, let them know we are not afraid. Too many of our people are living in fear. Now that we have this tyrant in Washington, D.C., that is trying to make people go back into the shadows. We're not going back into the shadows. I do not work for President Donald J. Trump. I do not work for Elon Musk. I am not afraid of them. We have a country of co-equal branches of government. I am in the legislative branch. I want to thank a family friend, Ms. Chaparro, and I want to thank our slate that is running out here in the town of Cicero. Our candidates, please stand up, face the audience, turn around. We're going to win together. I am so proud of each and every one of our But there's another part of history I want to share with you. You've all heard about the 1954-1955 decision on Brown versus the Board of Education that ended segregation in the public school system. Well, the part of history that they're trying to delete and not tell the story of is Menendez versus Westminster. This happened in Southern California in 1946. These were sharecropping children and families that worked in the asparagus fields in Orange County in Southern California. One child was dark-skinned, one child was light-skinned. They were Spanish-speaking, and the school district says you can bring in your light-skinned Spanish-speaking child, but not your dark-skinned Spanish-speaking child. Does that sound familiar? And the father said, no, these are my children. There was the Supreme Court Justice, Mr. Thurgood Marshall. He defended that Hispanic child in Southern California. From that victory, which preceded Brown versus Board of Education by 8 years, then they were able to go to the Ninth Circuit Court in California and on to the Supreme Court. That is how African Americans with Latinos and Hispanics were able to bring down segregation in schools across America. I share that with you because why did I have to be 40 years old before I ever read that history? It's not taught in our schools. So some people started in the barrios, some started in the ghettos. Some people in the field with cotton, some with fruits and vegetables. And we've all come to try to make a better life. So I want to talk about what brings us together. And the spirit I want you to have is no fear. Too many of our friends and brothers are fearful right now. But I want you to go forward by hope and not backward by fear. We have a tremendous opportunity right here with the Spirit of God that is within us, with the time that we have on this earth, to make a difference going forward. We know what the past is, but we can see a brighter future tomorrow. And I want to say I am here to wholeheartedly lend my support, and I fully endorse the Honorable Esteban Rodriguez. Esteban. I'm not running against anyone. I'm running for the future of Cicero. This isn't about someone else. This is about what we can do together in Cicero. And I want you to know there are many signs I've seen them all around town. One thing I've learned about campaigns is signs don't vote. And if you had a sign and somebody took it down, that's a good sign for our poll numbers are working if someone is that mad about saying the name of Esteban Rodriguez. Every time somebody took my sign down, I actually smiled. I said, wow, they're thinking about me. And I don't know who it is, but I'm happy they are. But Esteban is a man that has courage. He has character. He has dedicated himself to a life of public service. And unlike Mr. Elon Musk and the billionaires that you see that are attacking our federal government, some people actually start off in life wanting to help people. Some people, like the pastor of our church here, actually think about helping people. And that's a calling of public service. And when I saw that and I've seen his history and I know his works, I am more impressed than ever with Esteban, and I know he has the character, the competency to lead this city into an even greater future. And for all of our candidates that have come forward, I would tell you thank you. Thank you for your service that you come forward with. And I will leave you with one thing from the book of Proverbs when it says, remove not the ancient landmarks that our forefathers have set. You are now setting the boundaries for our children to come. You cannot put new wine in an old wineskin. This is a new day. It's a new possibility. It's a new beginning. Our children in the future aren't going to know a Donald J. Trump. Our children in the future aren't going to have to miss a doctor's appointment, aren't going to have to miss a day of school. Our children are not going to live in a society full of fear. And that starts right now, right here, when people stand up and take these tyrants off of our backs so we can set the example for our children to be loving, to be honorable citizens, and to build a brighter tomorrow together. I want to come up and shake my friend's hand, the Honorable Esteban Rodriguez, the future mayor of the city, the president of Cicero. But it meant so much, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. Go forward in love. We're not going backwards in fear. Get out the vote on Tuesday. Signs don't vote. Repeat. Signs don't vote. That's it. Signs don't vote.
To introduce Pastor Haran Nunez.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Church, the Light of the World, we would like to thank you, Congressman Jackson, for being here with us, for your words of courage. The Light of the World Church is a church that has always been taught to be actively involved in the betterment of our society, but as the apostle in Romans says, honor to whom honor is due. These great teachings have been received by the international director of this church. So on his behalf and on behalf of our community, thank you and may God bless you.
Esteban Rodriguez to come to the stage.
Thank you. Primeramente, antes de comenzar, quiero verificar si todos tienen sus audífonos. Si alguien necesita para traducir. Si es que necesitan, si es posible, ir para allá porque quiero que me escuchen. Okay. I'm just going to wait for a minute or two while they get settled with interpretation. Hola, buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I need more energy, right? I need more energy to match. Especially after hearing from the great Congressman Jonathan Jackson. So thank you so much for everyone in your attendance. I am honored and privileged to be in front of you and talking to you about what we try to envision together. I'm with a bunch of people that I love, people that love the community, and I want to actually highlight them right now. If, again, the candidates, the slates that are with me in this journey of rethinking Cicero together, I want to talk to Antonio Tony B. Benavides, Town Supervisor, candidate. Diana Garcia, Town Collector, candidate. We have encourage everybody to speak to them. Not just me, they're equally important. We have different roles that are across the board divided, and that's how we're going to govern together in Cicero. But to begin with, again, Esteban Rodriguez, Velasco Regosa Ramirez. I am the town president candidate and a lifelong resident here in Cicero. And together, I feel we have ideas and plans that's going to take Cicero to a new direction for the first time in 20 years. I want to make sure that everybody in the back hears me okay? Okay. So a little bit about where we want to go, and I think the moderator is going to help us.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to open the floor to a welcoming address before we start our questioning for Cicero Town President.
I was getting ahead of myself, so thank you. So, Cicero, the #1 Latino community in the state. The #1 undocumented community in the state. The #1 deaths, transmissions of COVID, #1 of toxins in our air, in our water, in our soil. We're talking about #1s across the board that are not the best for us. Yet we have a governing body that continues to ignore and silence the stuff that impacts our day-to-day lives. I am here in front of you with the hopes that I get your support, with the idea that you work with me in rethinking Cicero to a better and brighter future. We've had an individual for 20 years, yet our school is still among the worst in the state. Our infrastructure, our sewer system is rotting and breaking apart and flooding our homes year by year. And yet our income and our taxes continue to rise without real benefits for our community. So with that, I'm honored to be with a bunch of individuals that share these visions about how we can improve the conditions of our life together. I come from a trauma-informed perspective. My goal, and it's for a long conversation, for many meetings with community in mind, is to improve the life for our community. Miles away in Gold Coast, the average lifespan is about 90 years old. But yet here in Cicero, we're about 15 years younger than that. That means we're dying sooner because of the conditions that our community has. Lack of food infrastructure, healthy foods, schooling, education, living wages, benefits. All of these impact your life and essentially reduces years off of your lifespan. And I'm here to give more life to you. So thank you.
Our first issue we are going to be covering is urban development. The first question: how do you plan to balance economic development with affordable housing in Cicero?
The idea of urban development to me it's a beautiful. I actually wanted to go back to school, I don't know why, to go for a master's in urban development. The idea that we envision a Cicero that's thriving cannot have a thriving community without strong local economic background. If you drive down Cicero, in any business corridors, Cermak, Roosevelt, 35th, Laramie, Cicero Avenue, you're seeing nothing but abandoned and empty storefronts. We're seeing nothing but gambling spots. We're seeing nothing but individuals that are constantly being harassed and impacted, so they themselves are not thriving as a business. We want diversity. We want a small business incubation program. We want a small chamber of commerce that's going to continue running Cicero to a stronger local economy. And with that, it's going to help reduce lower property taxes. It's also going to bring more businesses to Cicero, and essentially everybody's investment will increase. Along with that is our housing, right? With more business, more economic development, that means that there's more opportunity for people in our own community to also work in those spaces. If we circle and filter the funds, the tax money, our own hardworking dollars in our own community, we're going to remain a thriving community. But instead, our community goes to Berwyn, it goes to Chicago, to Oak Park, and spends our dollars there because we don't have an opportunity to spend it here locally. And that's where it hits us. We need to invest in our own community in all possible ways. Going to our schools. Our schools, people are more and more going to private schools. I have a 2-year-old. We're thinking, how can we put our daughter in our public schools knowing what we know? I don't want that. I'm a product of the public school system. So is our candidates. For that, it's hard to balance our future for our daughter and also understanding our conditions in our schools. So we need to invest here. Our schools, our businesses, our churches, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing me to my next question. What steps will you take to attract businesses that provide well-paying jobs for residents?
Thank you for that. I think I have an amazing track record in improving wages and benefits in almost any employment that I've had a pleasure in being part of. A living wages with matching benefits, it's critical in any individual to thrive as an individual. We cannot continue paying poverty wages with lack of benefits and still expect our people to thrive and come out of that. Instead of helping our community, we need to start with our own individual staffs. And that's where I'm proposing, and we want to work with chambers of commerces across our state that have the best models to ensure that the businesses that are coming here are paying living wages to all of our people. And especially if those people live and reside in Cicero. That means that our small businesses are investing in Cicero as well. Not just in improving taxes, but also giving living wages to the residents in our community. And the moment that happens, that the people in our community have living wages, they're going to start tackling other issues and not have to worry whether they are paying rent, not having to worry whether they're having food at the table, but because they're able to now invest. Now they're starting to plan financial goals, like their car, their Disneyland trip, their house. Those are the financial goals that our families will start planning if our local economy starts paying living wages, and especially within our town of Cicero. We have 900 employees. About 2/3 are unions. They have challenges with their contracts. The remaining are not union, are not getting the most for their benefit. And these are the people that are taking care of our community. So we need to invest in them as well. And we need to make sure that just because we're paying them doesn't match the level of support and customer service that's going to bring. Because if we pay people well, I guarantee you these are going to be the best employees in any employment. Thank you.
Thank you. The next topic and issue we will be covering is the $96 million grant allocation. Can you provide a clear breakdown of how the $96 million flooding grant will be spent?
Many of you have seen potentially a video that I spoke in front of Larry Dominic and asked him this exact same question. The idea and the frustration that nobody knows where that money is going it's ridiculous, right? We're talking about a $96 million grant provided by HUD, one of the most difficult federal funds grant process in almost any government body. When you write a grant, and I wrote a grant to HUD already, the level of detail that you have to propose is very specific. So you have to break down every single expense. Almost, you have to write down every screw every bag of cement, every tree, you have to annotate that before you get the approval of the funding. So they're saying that they don't know what that money is going to go for. That's why they're pushing thousands of dollars in ads from our own tax money to survey you, knowing that they already have a plan for that money. But they're denying what they're going to do with it. I have a good idea of what that money's for when they apply for it. It's for infrastructure. It's for a 100-year-old sewer system that's breaking apart, which is great. And I give credit when credit is due. I'm happy that we're going to receive that money, and we're going to make sure that the actions and the money towards that $96 million is going to be used the right way. Right? Not a way where they get to write off a fancy office for the president's wife, or miscellaneous expenses that doesn't actually mean infrastructure support. So we're going to be great stewards of that $96 million. The issue is, and the reason why I feel that they're not telling us that, is because they're going to upset many residents. If the moment the community knows that that money is not going to go towards their basements, towards their furnace, towards their laundry units, towards a mold that's being built up for months now, or years, people are going to get upset. And they don't want to upset people. Unfortunately, that money is not going to go to our community, to our basements. It's going to go towards the infrastructure. And I want to tell you all in advance that that's what's happening. And the reason why they're not telling you where that money is going, which is unfortunate. And another reason why we're launching our campaign. There's no transparency in any sector in the town of Cicero, whether it's the schools, the parks, the library, and especially the town. Nobody knows unless you're in that inner circle. And that stops after the 25th, once you elect us for office.
What specific areas in Cicero will benefit the most from this funding?
From the 96 million? Yes. Without knowing more expertise and background as to where the investment will happen, there is already identified locations that can support this. There is a big sewer system that runs down Lombard. There is a collapsed sewer system that's under the BNSF railroad. There is a lot of spaces where the biggest impact for flooding can be mitigated if we invest consciously and we invest equitably, right? We all know that the north side of Cicero gets flooded by far a lot more than the south side of Cicero. So ideally, maybe more than the 96, or the majority will go towards the north side of Cicero, right? We need to address where the biggest impact is. And that's how all of Cicero is going to eventually thrive together. Not just one corner of Cicero. We're talking collectively the entire 6 square mile radius of Cicero. Not less, not just a small area that only benefits the selected few. And I live in the south side of Cicero. So that's in my, against my self-interest for that. But I grew up in the north. And I know many families in the north that are still have no heat. They're still breathing mold in our basement. And they're still trying to save up for a new laundry unit. And that's upsetting because these are the people that I grew up with. While on the south side, within the following day, alleys were cleaned. People were investing and fixing that in group settings. So, yes, equitably, consciously, that's how we're going to invest and support the $96 million.
Thank you. The next topic is covering the topic of immigration. How will you support Cicero's immigrant community in accessing resources and services?
Cicero is a community that's run on favors. If you don't know a specific individual, like a precinct captain, you're not gonna get the benefits that the town offers. Senior programs, remodeling for your homes, trap system, potential other opportunities that we offer. Only a few know about those, and that's not right. We need to make sure that across our community, we share all of our benefits for everyone. Again, not just a selected few. We're going to make sure that every single document, every content that we offer has multiple language. We know that by far, Cicero is the Latino community, yet a lot of spaces and resources are not translated. And we have to have that conscience. So we gotta make sure that across everybody, people know what we have to offer. And unfortunately, we are limited with funds. So there will be a conscious way in which we can invest any single penny that comes into our community. We have a $260 million budget. Again, because we don't know the specific details, because the way they write our budget and they give us a amount of time to prepare before they pass it, limits us to what we know about it. The moment we're in office, we're going to create a whole forensic and digest and investigate our budget. And we're going to showcase that to the world and tell them this is what we actually have. This is how much we're saving from nepotism, from no-bid contracts to essentially ghost bros that the community offers. And we're going to offer those bros and prioritize to Cicero residents as you have a priority in working for the town of Cicero, if you're a Cicero resident. We're not going to provide a resident requirement because unfortunately there's labor laws that against that, but we can incentivize, we can push and provide a stronger push for individuals that live here that want to work here.
Thank you. What is your stance on policies that protect undocumented residents from discrimination?
So currently the town of Cicero has a resolution called Safe Space Resolution. It was passed in 2014, I believe, or can somebody help me with that one? Corey, I think I'm looking.
2008.
2008, I was going to say that. 2008 was passed. The idea behind that is a nice wording that has no legal support or protection for our community. Our community, again, I started with the #1 Latino community, the #1 undocumented community. Not just recently, but for many years ago. I know the topic of immigration is challenging for people to understand, right? But we've had undocumented people as our neighbors, as our friends, as our partners, as our people that we trust in our own blocks. For this to not have a sanctuary city protection, law binding that works in our favor is absurd, right? We're talking about instilling and writing a sanctuary city for Cicero for the first time. The city of Chicago has had it for over 40 years. We're back 4 decades. Cicero has had that opportunity, but they just ignore it. They're saying all the things that can come with a sanctuary city. When no sanctuary city in anywhere in the country have those challenges. So one of my big push and working with the trustees that you see here in front of you is to provide a sanctuary city for the town of Cicero.
Thank you. The next question is welcoming city ordinance. Do you support Cicero adopting a formal welcoming city ordinance? Why or why not?
Yeah, so that's very similar. A welcoming city ordinance is what we're calling a sanctuary city. But we gotta go above that. It's not just on the undocumented. It's really being welcoming spaces. How are we inclusive in any conscious in any angle or factor that our people have globally, right? There's other languages in Cicero. There's other difficulties with disability, with mentalities or beliefs. And we have to be open to those type of spaces. And and really be a welcoming system. Because this is a prime space, right? We're between 55 to 90, Pink Line, Metro Line. We have the amenities to become a world-class town with 100,000 people, right? So we should match that energy, right? We should match that with businesses that bring tourists to our community.
We could be more.
We could always be more. And we just have to challenge us, right? When I'm in office, you have to challenge us and not stop. Because there's always a space for improvement. Regardless of how well we're doing, there's always room for growth.
Thank you. How would you address concerns from residents who fear such an ordinance may impact law enforcement efforts?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How would you address concerns from residents who fear such an ordinance may impact law enforcement efforts?
We saw you're talking about the sanctuary city.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen when ICE was here on the 20th of January, and 21st, and the week after that, we saw how organized groups were educating people. In Chicago, they left. They left defeated, right? They left because they couldn't out-organize the organizers. They couldn't mobilize faster. We educated people across the board, and there's many people in the town of Cicero that did that as well. They championed and pushed for this work. And that's a benefit, right? Because we're saying that in the town of Cicero, we're protecting ourselves. So when there's law enforcement that's ICE in this situation, that's coming here and wants to take our friends, our lovers, our family members, our church partners, that's an impact. That's an attack in our community together. So we need to continue mobilizing, educating, at the same time have strong leaders that's going to protect us and fight for us when you're resting, when you're home, convening with your lovers.
Thank you. The next issue we'll be covering is crime. What are your plans to address gang violence and gun violence in Cicero?
Yes. Violence and safety, it has been a strong priority of mine for many years. That's actually why I went into the nonprofit world and been working in that field for 20 years now. At the root of everything, we need to understand where violence comes from, right? And that's poverty. At the stem, at the base of any violence that's caused or harmed from our community is poverty. And we need to really double, triple, quadruple that effort and make sure that everybody in Cicero understands that logic or that idea. If a person can't afford to feed their babies, if I can't afford to feed my daughter, I'm going to cause harm. And I guarantee you, any father, any sibling that understands that logic will do the same thing, right? So we need to figure out what poverty and how that evolves in the community. Fortunately, I've been in the space in communities for 20 years across different sectors, from mental health to education, youth, violence prevention, criminal justice, digital literacy, economic development, senior services. All of these have an aspect of how they impact our community every single day. And the moment you start understanding where the family struggles every single time, we're going to prevent violence and harm in the future. That's the long plan. That's the work that needs to happen, an education component that needs to happen once we're in office. But then there's the other angle, right? The after the fact, after the harm is done. What happens then? Currently in our town, and across every town in the country, the relationship between police departments and community is not the strongest. And everybody can agree with me on that. The police don't trust the community, and the community doesn't trust the police for their own respectable reasons. And we have to come to an agreement that both people are isolated and that both people are going through their own challenges. That's why we need people that are rooted in the community, that understands the importance of community and what they're going through on every single day, but at the same time understands how police department can help us with that. There has to be accountability conversations, of course. There has to be training components that are relevant to our community. There has to be a mental health component to our police. They go through day-to-day issues that you all perhaps don't understand. That's why we need to take care of their mental health as well. Because they go home with a bunch of trauma and think that the following day they're going to be okay. No, there's a lot of domestic violence. There's a lot of suicide. To the people that are protecting us. So we need to highlight these, we need to invest in these, and we need to be conscious that this will take time. The respect, the trust, the love factors, but with good leadership that understands the components, understands where crime happens to begin with, and can manage the department that can give trust and safety once again in the community. It's doable with the right people in office. So, and those are individuals that have been championing police accountability, that have been pushing for transparency and training components that impact the way our safety is done. I got bricked. Our campaign office got also bricked 2 weeks ago. My family does not feel safe at the moment. Yet I'm here telling you that it can happen where a community that has police department and a strong community can live in coexistence, but only with the right leadership.
Did they catch the victim? Who broke your house?
I'm sorry?
Did they ever catch or find out who it was?
We can talk about that, but no, not yet. And I'm happy to answer more about that. No.
Thank you. Do you support funding for violence prevention programs? How do you plan on implementing it?
Violence prevention, again, is my cup of tea. That's where I've invested all my resources, my energy, in learning how to invest in the best way possible, right? When it comes to violence prevention, there's no bigger investment than investing in our babies, in our youth, in our little ones. Because we know if we get them early, we're not going to struggle with them later on in life. If we invest early, they're going to be supported, mentored, and guided the right way. If we get them early, they're going to know how to be a good person that has become an asset to this community. It doesn't mean a specific trajectory or college. It just means a good person and take care of your neighbors. It means that this person truly cares of who lives around them and wants to see them thrive as well. So there's no bigger investment in youth and violence prevention than investing in our youth. And unfortunately, in our town of Cicero, it's not nearly close where I want it to be. Our after-school programs are non-existing across every school that we have. Our community center is abandoned every single day, and I challenge you to go to it and see what's happening there. It's a shame. We have a state-of-the-art building or facility that there's nobody there ever. Our youth are not taking advantage, and there's no room for opportunity and partnerships from other organizations to go in there and support it. So we are in a youth program desert in Cicero, and we need to make sure that the town of Cicero invests in these programs. Currently, there is a CDBG grant that offers about, I want to say maybe about $250,000 to youth programs. Great, it's a great start. We need to have it into $5 million, $10 million worth of investment, because that's where if you follow the money, you follow the values of the people in this community. And $10 million is still not going to do enough. But we need to invest right away.
Thank you. The next topic is education. What initiatives will you support to improve public schools in Cicero?
So this is some of the stuff that I say almost every single day that I talk to a new lawyer. We have still among the worst educational systems in our state. And I know this for a fact because I ran in 2019 for our high school board because I was upset and disgusted that our school systems were failing our youth. We have an adequacy of funding that's among the lowest. I think at that time, we were like the third lowest high school funded district in the state. That's a shame because they were telling our youth that you don't deserve high quality teachers, high quality programs, or facilities. Yes, there's just new schools here and there. That's naturally in almost any community growth occurs. I don't give credit to their Dominic and his team for that. I'll still do and hold so many school programs and opportunities. What I'll do, and part of the education component, I won't be able to govern our school districts, unfortunately. But you give me the platform to be your president, and I guarantee you that we are going to have media talking about how our education system is failing every single day. And nobody likes bad press. Nobody likes to be pushed. We're going to have leaders in the schools leaving the town because they don't want that type of energy. And we need to then appoint and have new people that are going to be fighting for us and our kids. That's our only way to really take back our schools and make them and improve them because we deserve top tier programs in schools in our state. Not the other way around, right? We have savings in every school district that doesn't need a savings account, right? We need to invest now, not have it for a rainy day. So with that, I'm pushing for stronger schools by me championing in these spaces. In every conversation, I will be holding schools accountable. At the same time, investing, right? Investing in our youth has a ripple effect for our schools as well.
And then this takes me to our last question before we open questions up to the floor. What role should the town government play in supporting local schools and students?
Yeah, I kind of transitioned into that right away. That's exactly what we need to do. If we look at our tax statement, we see that 50% of our taxes go to schools. That's our District 99, District 201, District 527, which is our Morton College district. 50% of your taxes go to these buildings and these institutions. We need to have conversations. I will offer opportunities for us to dialogue and see what are the biggest needs in our schools, whether it's safety, academics, program enrichment, any of that nature. We need to have the conversations, period. And if the schools are not having it, because they're not, we will have them in the town. I will personally be a facilitator for these spaces. We would open the community center, where it's one of the biggest spaces in our town, and convene hundreds of people to have a dialogue on how our schools can be improved. Because the last thing I want to do is put my daughter in a private school. The last thing I want to do is hear another family saying that our public schools are not it, so that's why we have to take them to private school. That's where the conversation happens. It's education, it's having these dialogues, and making sure we do the follow-ups on those.
Thank you. So far, we have covered public safety and policy, economic development in local businesses, infrastructure and public services, education and youth programs, affordable housing and property taxes, transparency and government accountability, and each candidate had their questions and their time. At this time, we're going to open the floor to the audience to ask any questions.
Maybe I can start with the question that was kind of alluded. Yes, there's an investigation still underway. They identified the vehicle that the person went. It's a white Buick Envista. It's a newer model, black rims. If you all see any of those vehicles, just flag it, take a picture of the license plates. Just send it to us or send it to the police station. That can help us with the investigation. Unfortunately, no, the suspect is identified as the same person. Other than that, there's no updates on my end. There's a mic right in the middle.
And if it's needed, I can do it in English also.
Dice.
Yes.
Sí, bueno, mi pregunta es esta. Usted mencionó de la transparencia, que para mí es algo muy importante en cualquier cuerpo de gobierno. Mi pregunta es, ¿qué haría usted para garantizar que realmente vamos a tener una transparencia en todo lo que es el gobierno? Al decir todo, estamos hablando de cuánto ganan los trabajadores del gobierno, los servidores públicos. Y pudiéramos también decir cuánto tienen, porque en muchas partes del gobierno entran con ciertas cosas y cuando pasa el tiempo vemos que son muy ricos ya. ¿De dónde ganaban ese dinero? Es bueno que si tienen otros negocios y están superándose, que tengan ese dinero, pero muchas veces ese dinero viene de la misma gente. ¿Qué haría usted? Porque decir vamos a ser transparentes es fácil, pero ¿qué va a hacer usted para garantizar que vaya a haber transparencia en el gobierno de Cícero? My question is this. You mentioned transparency in the government, and that's, for me, I think that's something very, very, very important, because we need to know where our money, our tax money is going, and I think we're entitled to as taxpayers. So, and a lot of governments, they say transparency, and it's good when they're running for something, but what will you do to guarantee that there is going to be a true transparency on everything? We're entitled, if we're paying somebody, we need to know what that money is going, every penny. How much people are getting paid? And how many employees? Do we really need so many employees? Because we go to some of those agencies and we see a whole bunch of people in those offices and nobody to take care of you. You got to wait till they're finish their conversations and then they can take care of you. So I think that, yes, transparency is good. I'm happy that you mentioned that you're going to look into transparency, but what will you do for that?
Yes. Thank you for the question. I think that's something that, yes, a lot of candidates that are running for office, you were going to say something?
No.
A lot of candidates are saying transparency is a nice word, but where is that going to lead us, right? Are we going to go back to the same old business as usual? For us, and I'm not saying it in Spanish, but I could, but we have a interpretation. But for transparency, right? There's so many components that can be improved on transparency. For starters is our $260 million budget, right? They give us minutes, if any, before the board approves the budget to see the budget. There has to be a proactive approach in ensuring that our community has some input weeks before the budget is finalized, right? We need to make sure that we have a people's budget, is what we're calling it, where we include individuals to see how we're going to invest the $260 million. Not saying, oh, just we're going to tell the community to invest in us, but we need to match those dollars to what we actually want to achieve in the community. That's for starters as a model that we want to approach and take on. We also need to put everything publicly, right? Every single transaction, it's going to be work, it's going to partly create a new role, but we need to create a transparency component. Right now, if you're digging and trying to figure out anybody's wages, anybody's position, good luck. It's extremely difficult even for the most talented researcher, right? We may find one role that they have, but we all know that they have 2 or 3 different angles of income that comes to them. So we want to publish and put everything in an open, right? From across the president's role to all the way to any role in the town.
I don't know if there's an ordinance or if there's not, will you be willing to push for an ordinance that makes it like a law, that they have to be transparent?
They have to be transparency. It's part of it, yeah. So I think part of it is that they get very specific with the law and they say this is what the requirement is. But the requirement is always very poor driven to actually giving it to the community. The budget is an example. There is a requirement that has to give it to you ahead of it. But they don't have a specific as to what ahead means, right? So they do it within 30 minutes before the budget.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. My name is Charlotte, and I've been living here for maybe 5 years now. And you mentioned, I'd say, two of the most important things for me and how I think we need to bring this community up and raise it to its potential: education and health. And it's less questions and more a conversation that I'd like to bring up. The toxicity that you talked about, like the air and the ground, I hadn't heard of that. I heard of things being like, for example, Wharton College, they figured the soil was toxic. But I guess my question is, how do you plan on making the people more aware and bringing people to know, for example, where their water comes from, where their trash goes? I went to Cicero Public Works, and you know how you can go get actually I don't know if you guys know, but you can go get blue bags in which you can put your recyclables in it. So I asked them, yo, where does this go? And the guy went, oh, it's on the website. The website, quote, quote, is a paragraph, like written in like an old HTML page, where there's actually really no explanation of where this stuff goes. And it's just, I just want people to know what is the cycle of, just the circular system that goes into Cicero. I know you're not an master, but like, how do we get people to know? How do we get that in schools? How do we get, tell me.
Yes. So I think there's a whole component of education that's missing in our community across every issue, every aspect, every resources that the council provides us. So it leaves us not understanding to the point where we give up. Where we give up in cleaning our environment. We give up in figuring out our flooding. We give up in a lot of the things that impact us. So, and they do that intentionally, so we won't continue pushing for that, right? When it comes to education, that's something that I am strongly going to push and fight across every week. There's an educational component that it doesn't even have to come from the town. We have amazing partners, organizations, individuals, experts that understand the subject beyond anybody else in our community, that can come and educate our community about that issue itself. Whether it's civic engagement, whether it's trauma, whether it's a recycling program. We just need to educate our people. I would love to implement a recycling program in Cicero. I would love to talk about how we can purify our air. And I would definitely love to talk about how we hold these businesses and these companies accountable in polluting our air. Those are the educational components that we're missing, that we've been excluded and marginalized for 100 years. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Montoya, and I have a couple of questions to you in regards to the young individual, our children. Okay. My question to you is this. I believe around 6-7 years ago, Clyde basically overtook Papa Park District, where I was involved with the children. Ever since then, there is nothing in the South Side for children to participate in. You, as president, what would you do to help our children on the South Side? Because a lot of individuals don't have cars to bring them to the stadium. A lot of them don't have transportation to take them to the multiple opportunities they have in the South Side. But yet in the North Side. In the South Side, there isn't anything. What is your position? What do you think you're going to do in regards to that?
So that's a two-part, and I want to talk about those two parts equally. The town has recreational spaces that they own and they manage. There's also Clyde Park that owns and manages the recreational spaces. Two different entities, and not to confuse. I want to talk about the town side of things. Spaces, right? We have community, we have a lot of land in Cicero that's owned from the town of Cicero, and it's managed and the resource supported to that. I am going to look at experts, and we have an expert in our own slate. His name is Nelson Acevedo. He's not unfortunately here with us at the moment, but he is our park expert. He's bringing ideas on how to revitalize and bring opportunities to our youth, because as of right now, there's 6 programs that the town offers for our kids in our parks. The majority of them are at the Clyde Park, the stadium, Cicero Stadium, right, on there, where the majority of the people outside of the other parks are not thriving from that. Hawthorne Park is an example. It was thriving with a lot of programs in the past. I actually experienced some of them. But now, since the merger and a lot of challenges or lack of accountability or leadership there, it's now resorted to people that don't show up to work, haven't attended a single day in their boards in over 2 years, are essentially taking multiple payrolls from different parks and between Bourbon and Cicero and continuing running our parks to the ground, right? We have parks that are dangerous to our youth to even take advantage of. There are improvements here and there, but we're again talking about where is the biggest investment that needs to happen, and that's in our youth. That also includes our recreational spaces. So I'm extremely happy to work with Nelson Acevedo as a park commissioner once we're in office to see how we can work within the town property and the Clyde Parks property and make sure that they're resourced and supported across all angles. Because 6 programs is an embarrassment. That means that in these 6 programs, either charge or are very limited in how many times they get to attend that. But you go to a thriving community that has enriched programs like Oak Park, they have 40-something programs that are accessible across the week, the month, and different opportunities. So if you miss one spot, don't worry, you have 40-something other options to pick from. Here in Cicero, you close, you miss the opportunity to sign up, that's it. You don't even have one for the other ones. So that's where a conversation occurs. Right now, Larry Dominic has no relationship with the Clyde Park, even though he had a son there. And running in the department and God rest his soul. But for him to say that he has no control of them, it's a lie.
It's a lie because the majority of the trustees are working at that.
They're literally, they support him 100%. So it's about really holding these accountable people together, right? And the person that has been championing that for years now is Nelson Acevedo, who has been talking to the elected officials and telling them amazing ideas only for him to be ignored. His election is also equally important, is on April 1st, so a month after our election next week. It's a little silly, we have 2 elections within a month apart, right? Again, further confuse the voters, further tire the community about election season. And that's going to change with our, once we're in office. We're going to make it easy for people to be civically engaged and vote people like the Clyde Park District. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm a community-based doula for our moms within the town of Cicero. It's been brought to my attention more than a few times for our moms that they've been facing discrimination and racism within our Cicero Health Clinic. And as a birth worker and also a public health student, it's especially concerning when we're constantly preaching equitable and accessible care. So what is your plan on tackling pretty much what is coming out of our health clinic? Because at this point we have families who are scared of going in for basic exams, for vaccinations for themselves or their children, and we're now having to refer them outside of our town. So what is our plan here?
So fortunately, you'll be appointing or electing 2 health experts into the town. One of them being Diana Garcia, who has a master's in public health and has been working in that field to address what are the issues in our community and how can policies make those changes and adjust them, right? On my end, I've been working also in the healthcare for several years and understanding, again, the trauma, the mental health, and how that's a direct correlation with other health issues that we have, right? Whether it's obesity, diabetes, whether it's high blood pressure, or the amount of lead understand what are the health issues and how they're going to bring these programs into those and address them, right? So we also need to invest in that. We also need to look out at our partners in our community, our CBOs, our nonprofits, our clinics that are coming into Cicero, because there is no entity richer than hospitals. And hospitals are saying that Cicero has a lot of health issues. Across the board, we have the health prevalences that impact us, and then going back to my initial statement, that we live less because of all these health concerns. Doulas, as an example, play critical roles in the way birthing and motherhood and the development for our kids go through. So how is it that we can work with individuals like these entities to not see them as opposition or as competition, but as supporters and collaborators? Because again, we can have 100 nonprofits and we still won't get the job done. We don't have 100 nonprofits. We have 5, 6, and we're pushing them to the side. We're telling them their services are not needed. We're telling clinics that if you don't pay up or you don't have a high bid, then you're not going to come into Cicero. We need more entities that are going to take care of our health from all angles, right? Whether it's vision, dental, and really support us collectively. They just had a health fair this past week. Right around election days, right? So they're bringing this type of energy when they're not intentional. They're bringing partners that are not from the community, outside of Cicero. We're telling people to go get a service, to go to Chicago, go to Oak Park, go to these places, when it's actually here in our own backyard. But again, our town is just not working. It's not working. And it's constantly looking at these entities as a group that is just here to challenge them. But when they just want to help, here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, speaking of public health, my name is Manny, and I'm really interested in specifically information on water quality. So it's my understanding that annually the water utility in the area is supposed to publish a detailed report of their sampling of the water in the Cicero metropolitan area. And I believe they're published in the town magazine that comes in. So on this issue of transparency, I guess it's kind of more of a comment and kind of asking what are your plans with this topic, particularly with water. Just like air is its own separate topic, and it's also just as vital for the wellness of Cicero residents. I wanted to mention that so the report that comes in the mail, either from the town or through your mail, is called a consumer confidence report. It is a detailed water profile of all the water service lines that run through the community. And in my own personal research, I found that most of them are very hard to read. They don't come in color. There was a national survey that found that there are other municipalities, so other places in the U.S. where translation is not available online. Hyperlinks are super outdated. So I say this to say that I believe that there's room for expansion in terms of the town having an environmental equity, environmental justice, sustainability department. So when it comes to learning about our water and our air, something that's really important right now is across the U.S., the report that you get, if you feel like you don't understand it, it's no one's fault. It's because they're not written to be easily understood, and matter of fact, they're written to be at beyond the high school level. And I even have trouble with it being someone who went to school. And it's also hard to go through because it's a lot of scientific terms, it's a lot of different things that don't make a lot of sense, that are not, that they don't use colloquial language. So I guess the question here is what kind of environmental department expansion, like what would that look like for Cicero to have a dedicated position in the town that specifically works on the environment and wellness?
Yeah, I think Core behind us is someone that would be loving to answer and have something of that nature, right? Having a dedicated person to ensure that the water that we're drinking is suited for our health, right? Going back to the language and that component, we know that there's lead, period, right? There's proven across the entire corner in Cicero that our pipelines have lead, and we know, for those that don't know, how lead impacts especially our babies' brains. It essentially kills neurons and it destroys and rottens their brains and allows them to not function and have not cognitive mindsets. Now do that for many years drinking lead water, right? Not everybody has filtered water. So to me, the idea of having a simple, user-friendly language is important. But we also have to go in deep in the educational components. I've said it already, and I'm going to continue doubling down on educational components in our town. Water being one of them, right? How is water impacting your growth developmentally? How is water impacting your health? How are we going to address that issue? Because what we keep on hearing, you gotta fix your sewer system that connects to the main system, main sewer. Nobody has $10,000, $15,000 to spare like that. So it's about having, again, where's the $96 million going? Can we potentially support that model, right? If we start in one corner, one plan, one block at a time, we can get to that point. But we've had somewhere for 20 years without a plan. So it's a matter of where is it the biggest lead concentration or other chemicals, and how we can invest and figure those resources together, while providing an education component unmatched to others. Thank you.
We probably have room for 2 more questions.
We can maybe fit it quicker so all of them can come in.
Buenas tardes. Mi pregunta es acerca de las carreteras, de las calles. Tengo 20 años viviendo aquí en Cicero y veo que solamente ahorita los del town solamente parchan eso y dura muy poco. Las pruebas de eso que si usted yo sé que ha recorrido muchas de las calles de Cicero, la parte de atrás y muchas calles, hay muchos baches. Entonces, usted oí la conversación que dijo que hay mucho dinero que no se sabe para dónde se va y todo eso, y lo entiendo, porque es una nueva administración usted. Pero mi pregunta es, ¿cuánto tiempo veremos para que eso sea solucionado y no se siga solamente sobreponiendo, porque van dañándose más? Esa es mi pregunta.
¿Puedo decir en inglés?
No.
¿Español?
Sí. O usted lo puede decir como usted.
Okay.
Sí. Gracias.
Part of the infrastructure of our roads, we all see it, we all see the potholes, we all see the resurfacing that's done poorly, right? I think the main point of that, and I want us to focus, is how we're getting no bids contracts with the #1 donor for Larry Dominic. Andreas and Sons, a concrete company that has poured thousands of dollars to Larry Dominic, only to do poor and the way we say, Mickey Mouse jobs, right? These jobs that within months will start breaking apart soon after. So we're paying high contracts for poor quality. That makes no sense in any community. And that's what happens when we're going to get rid of no-bid contracts. We're going to make sure that we get the best bang for our buck, making sure that it's the most affordable, but it's also the top quality product that we get. Not something that's just going to get resurfaced year by year. And there's a saying in Spanish, lo barato sale caro, right? What's the cheapest thing will be more expensive later on. And that's what we're trying to prevent with no-bid contracts. That's just one example. We have projects across the town that have no-bid contracts as well. So we're going to save thousands, even millions of dollars with the way that we properly contract our businesses. And I want to start out by contracting businesses that are in Cicero. Going back to that model and investing locally, right? Making sure that the thousands of dollars of projects that are being prioritized for the businesses that are already investing in Cicero. So that's where we're going to be addressing. As far as the timeline, it's hard for me to say, give me 5 years for the whole roads to be repaved and structured. That's going to be a lie because I know there's an infrastructure issue, right? And that's going to take many years on top of that. If we're going to fix the road, the sewer system, guess what? We're going to also fix the roads. So if we're going to fix the road and dig up but not touch the sewers, that also doesn't make sense. You're already down there. Might as well fix that together. So the way that we're going to invest, the way we're going to consciously figure out how, what road, and what capacity is going to help. But definitely the no bid contract is going to alleviate a lot of these poor jobs that we get.
I had one question that concerned me a little bit. Well, not a little bit. That's a huge concern to me about parking. A big issue in Cicero is that for a few years now, suddenly there has been a lot of signs being posted on the streets. If you don't have a certain permit, you can't park. A lot of Cicero residents already pay as is the city sticker to be able to park in public spaces. But another one that brought me to concern was the parking near the churches, especially the one in 48th and 30th, St. Mary's. One time when they first started doing that, a lot of the times, well, actually, it literally happened like overnight. They started posting that you can't park here from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. To me, it upset me because now I can't park there because I'm not a member or going to that church. And that to me screams religious discrimination. Because how is it that I am paying for a city sticker to park in a public space, but yet the church there has a huge parking lot for their members? And having to wake up at 7 in the morning, and a lot of times in the winter, nobody wants to wake up at 7 in the morning in the winter to move their vehicle, and having to see the Cicero, the meter, I guess it's a meter maid, to be waiting there to wake up and there's a $100 fine already posted on your vehicle. So I went to see if I can dispute it, and they had told me, well, did you have a sticker to be able to park there? I'm like, no. Like, we have to be a member. And I'm like, why do I have to be a member to park in a spot where it's meant for public places? And let alone if you have an entire parking lot and now somebody just waiting out there for me, if I'm not a member, or somebody to identify my vehicle that's not there, how is it fair for me to have to pay, to be penalized, knowing the fact that I'm already paying as a Cicero resident, I am being penalized for not being a member of that church? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So going back to the idea that this town runs on favors, right? This is exactly a favor, right, for a specific faith-based organization. That's just an example. There's other private small businesses that have that exact same model. This space is reserved for this business, right? When literally we all pay for the taxes for that road in the public space. There's going to be a lot of those conversations. There's going to be several thousand hours about all these favors and how to pull back on that in a way that makes sense, right? Like the faith-based organization that you mentioned and all these businesses. Why are they getting certain benefits for their own specific group or selected field, right? So those are really good conversations. I think there is a parking issue across our entire town, especially more in the north, right? We're talking about people, and I guess part of it is understanding why, right? The north has specifically a working class family as well, where they have 5, 6, 7 people living in a house, and they all have their own jobs, and they all need to go to work. So it's 5, 6 cars in a household, right? And then there's multiple units. So So that just adds up to the amount of cars in that lot. It's challenging. For me, there is not an answer at the moment other than saying we need to convene and bring people together about how we're going to address parking. Is there a way that we can coexist with the vehicles and the amount of people? There is an idea that I have in mind, and that's creating a bicycle infrastructure where a lot of communities that have historically had congestion amount of vehicles have implemented bike lanes over a time. In the first few months, years, if anything, people were upset because for some streets that removes parking, so that adds on to that. But over a long time or long-term period, there's less people driving, and they're more accountable for bicycles, for scooters, that allows them to support it. So that's a very difficult conversation, something that I had myself not wrapped myself around. But I'm welcoming people to talk about that because that's a very critical conversation. Where are we going to park? I'm tired of walking 2-3 blocks to get home, especially if you come home at night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Kai, and my question to you is regarding the Cicero Town events, such as like Summer in the Park, the Cicero Fairs, the Back to School events. Do you guys plan to continue these events, and also do you plan to add any more events? Also, you talked about collaborating with nonprofits and other Cicero-based organizations. Are you guys planning to rope them into these town events?
Beautiful question. The town needs to celebrate. We have to celebrate things together. There is conversation on how we celebrate them, especially in the community that loves these festivals. And there's a joke that's going viral, right? Is those bracelets that we get. How are we giving these bracelets and these festivals and getting our community happy while the big issues are not being met or addressed? So we need to have both, right? We can celebrate, we can continue winning and enjoying life together, but let's not forget and don't just take this as a gratitude, right? Of course, I would still love to have these events. There's actually a lot of revenue that comes out of it. How are we investing that into the community? Is one of my first questions. How is our communities, our nonprofits, our community-based organizations, our faith-based organizations, even businesses, being in part of those festivals? Because we all know these festivals, they get thousands of people. And that's a good opportunity or a good platform for any business, small business, any nonprofit to put the word out. So yes, I would love to have a designated space for our nonprofits. I'm a nonprofit professional. I'm a champion for our community-based organizations. We need to group them in any conversation, whether it's bad spaces or really fun spaces, because I lean on them as a resource, right? Because the town of Cicero is limited. So if we're limited, I'm going to say, what can you do? How can you help? How can you support the void that the town is having? So let's celebrate together and let's bring everybody along, not just their own self-interest.
Our audience questions. I'm going to open the floor up and give a warm welcome to Mr. Pearl Wells, who is
I want to thank everyone for coming today. I do want to give Esteban a minute, Esteban, to close. But we have an ask. We are Cicero's Residents United. We are a slate of candidates. As you heard today, we have Esteban Rodriguez, who is running for Cicero Town President. We have myself and Encore Singh, who is running for Cicero Town Trustee. We have Diana Garcia, who is running for Town Collector, and Tony B. Benavidez, who is running for Town Supervisor. So our ask today of everyone who attended this town hall is to go and vote. We have 1 hour left. Early voting is happening right now. So from 3 to 4 p.m., as long as you are in line before 4 p.m., if you are a registered voter, if you need assistance registering to vote, the great thing about the state of Illinois is we have same-day voter registration. All you need is 2 pieces of ID, a photo ID, a bank card, or a piece of mail with your name on it. So our ask for you today, you've already made one, which was coming here to be present with us today, to listen to Esteban. And I want to thank Esteban for having the courage to come out here. It's not easy taking questions from the audience and you don't know what they're going to ask. But as you can see over here, that this podium is empty. Our current president, Larry Dominic, was also invited to this forum. And as you will see, when we post a little bit later, some of the town citizens asked Larry Dominic, hey, are you going to today's forum? And he responded, F no. This showing you what your president feels about you. This was an opportunity that he missed to engage with you, to hear what your concerns are, to feed back into his administration what the people need and want. So today, you heard from the only candidate that respected you enough to be a part of this conversation. But we are also in need of your vote. We cannot win this election without you. So we ask everyone, take this hour that we have left and go early vote today. Make your voices heard and make your voices heard loudly. We ask also, if you have any time, because we are going up against a machine with millions of dollars, and we are a grassroots organization who have decided to take on a machine. And so we also need people out there door knocking, poll watching, poll passing for us on Tuesday, because they have hundreds of people that they're going to pay to get out their vote. We need you to vote, but we also need your support to help us protect the vote and protect democracy. Thank you so much.
I've said a lot, and just to quickly finish this off, you don't need to thank me for this part. This is what I signed up for. As a public servant, this is what I want to do to y'all. Educate, inform, and champion you while you're with your family, while you're living a life and want to grow in Cicero, right? So this is the ask, and to Chaparro's point, we just need to vote. And if you can find 10 people with you that are eligible to vote, you go and take them with them. Have a party, have an event, take it yourself. This is the only way that we're going to replace someone that hasn't cared for our community in 20 years. And even before that. So thank you for the opportunity. I am going to stay here for a little longer. I know there's an individual that wanted to ask a question. I'm happy to talk to you. But thank you all, and please go straight to the polls right now. Cicero Community Center.